Okay, I'm going to talk about high blood pressure, Viagra, the lymph massage, edema, and a bunch of other words that most of you guys think that I shouldn't know anything about. Okay, I am endlessly a perpetual learner. I think Naval Ravikant and Charlie Munger always talk about this. They got a really good video about that, where they basically talk about being a perpetual learner. Okay, and Henry David Thoreau was a polymath, and so was Leonardo da Vinci. But the goal of life to me is to live this kind of Renaissance bohemian type thing where you constantly are in free flow thinking, where you're not introspecting, where you're basically just into the moment. Okay, but I've been studying blood pressure and lymph for a long time, and I can't believe it, finally, I don't know how many years it's taken me. It's taken me, well, when did mom die? Oh, I don't know, but say 6 years ago, I started researching blood pressure because my mom had a thing called edema. Edema is like these big fat angles, right? And I was begging the doctor to get her to have a lymph massage, prescribe one. But I also, right now, really realized that it could have been kind of bad. Um, she could have got very dizzy and whatever. But there's this guy that I don't know how, but I got a channel called Biohacking, and on this channel I collect YouTube videos and I put them together under topics. So I got one under edema, I got one under the lymph system, and I got another one under lymph massage. Okay. But yesterday, I was terribly sick because I gave myself a lymph massage in the wrong way. Okay. And I don't think you can do it. But even Perry Nicholson, when you watch a video, he will say, some of you are going to feel kind of bad. And I used to I used to beg my mother. Everybody wants to be intelligent. Okay. And they want and it seems like what you need is nutrients, blood, and oxygen to the brain. Okay, there's a really good video by Eric Berg on the 15 things you need to have a super brain. I have it sitting on my screen all the time. Maybe I'll read it off to you just so you know that I'm thinking. I always have it sitting here so I can review it. Exercise. These are the 15 things you need to improve your brain health. Exercise, fasting, cold therapy. That means you cold, hot, cold, hot. Cod liver oil, low carb diet, keto, heat therapy, vitamin B1, probiotic, infrared from sunlight. This is where people really don't get it. They need the sun. Plant-based phytonutrients, food high in choline, grass-fed animal products, sufficient sleep, coffee, and zinc. Those are the 15 things for brain health. And there's no point in me living to be 120 if my brain's not running. But I do something every single day of the week for the last, I don't know when I started. I must have started when I was about 16. But I always had this hair, right? And I always wanted it to kind of fluff out, right? And the only way I could do that was to shake my head. Okay, and I do this every morning, and I've done it since I was 16. And I finally realized that there was an accidental benefit to this, and I tried to get my mom to do it, and she about fell over. um, and I do it every day because inside the brain is fluids, right? And inside the brain is oxygen and whatever. And how do you get these? How do you get all the proper amount of oxygen to a brain when it's not? The only way to get the only way the blood pumps faster is when you exercise. So how do I exercise the brain? Okay, but lymph and let me describe these things. Blood is how you carry the nutrients and the oxygen to your things, and along the veins, they're kind of porous. And when something is kind of debris or autophagy, or they're trying to get rid of dead cells or whatever, they go through the outside of the vein and they go into a system called the lymph thing. And I don't want you to understand this, and I don't want you to, well, that's not true. I want you to understand it, but I don't want you to rely on me. I want you to get on. I will try to put on a YouTube channel where it basically goes into great depth talking about the lymph gland. And it's kind of like an AA meeting. When you're in an AA meeting, what happens is that you say, I'm having trouble, I'm going to a wedding. And how am I supposed to deal with it? Then 25 people say their opinion, and one of them rings true to you. Same thing on watching videos. You watch a video until one of them hits home. And it's, what hits home for me is not going to hit home for you. But this Perry Nicholson, I'll have the video in the description, is very succinct, simple, and whatever. And basically, you have the heart pumps the blood and the air, the oxygen from the lungs and everything to your body parts, right? But how does debris get back to the process? It's in the lymph, and the lymph only moves with movement and exercise. So it's really difficult, and lymph is kind of like water and whatever. I can think of so many funny stories. There's a guy who said he took a water pill every day, right? And I have a lot of problems with blood pressure medicine. Why? If the body's demanding that I have higher blood pressure, there might be a reason for it. Basically, you're screwing around with what God made, right? And in India, what they consider high blood pressure is different than what they do in, United States. But I don't think anybody really wants to have extremely high blood pressure. My mom used to explain high blood pressure is having a tight hat. If your head feels tight, that means you have high blood pressure. I got put on blood pressure medicine once in Antigua, Guatemala. I was really freaking sick. And my blood pressure is really high, so she puts me on the medicine. Well, about a month later, I was healthy and I couldn't barely walk. I said, this blood pressure medicine is horrible crap. But everybody in my family was on blood pressure medicine, so I thought it. But the pressure, the heart is the pump, and it creates pressure. The lymph only runs with movement. So as you get older, if you're not moving, it settles in the feet, it settles in the arms, it just doesn't move, okay? And young people need to keep moving. And when you see cellulite on a person, a girl's butt or something, maybe there's a problem with lymph. But basically, things settle all over the body. Okay, I got a friend that's got a really big turkey gobbler neck, right? And I want to tell him, I said, I think you could probably decrease this by at least half if you did some things to get the lymph out of there and get the blood flowing and to get the blood to come to the surface and whatever, right? But, okay, lymph, what's the lymph is kind of like a toilet or a mountain stream. One time in Lake Athlon, it started raining somewhere, and it rained for 5 days. And basically, the mountains collect all the rain, and they're like a sponge. And when they're full of water, the water creates a rill, then it creates a creek, then it creates a river, then it creates a gorging, running rain. I mean, it's a flood. And so it'll come roaring down the thing as it builds up for the mountains. So the Panajachel River flowed into this endorphic lake and raised the water like, 4 meters or something, 3 meters. The Mikasa was underwater. I went over there. I was laughing at it because somebody wanted us to buy it. And I go, that hotel, many expats don't understand the lake rises and flood. But what happens in the winter when it snows, that's a way of conserving the water, right? And that water, when it melts, can flood the area. Okay, so you have a lot of floods in spring because it's a reservoir and whatever. But what happens with the edema, it can build up like a dam. There's a dam in there. If it's not flowing, it doesn't go. But what you got to do is you got to go to the area right here. Perry Nicholson says, first, make it go away back into your system, and then work your way to your extremities. I did it the other way. I was working from my extremities, and I flooded my heart, my body with lymph. I did it the opposite. But I'm going to show you this video, and you really need to watch it. But how does a toilet work? A lot of people don't realize this. When a toilet works, the water goes down. Well, where does it go? Well, it displaces all this water and air ahead of it. And there's a pipe on top of your roof that where the air goes up and the water goes down. So basically it separates somewhere and it goes up. And you got to have this system. So if anywhere along the body, your human body, it's a machine. I have a lot of problems. I'm a natural. Okay, I'm not a natural at learning languages. I'm a natural at computers. I'm natural at anything mechanical. I can watch somebody doing construction work and I don't have to go do it. I can actually repeat what they did almost 90% correct because it's just a visual, everything makes sense. Goodwill Hunting, in the movie Goodwill Hunting with Robin Williams and who is that other guy? Who's Goodwill? Will. Um, he says, I just see it. And, some people just see how things work and other people don't. And this is why I have problems with a doctor. A doctor is basically a mechanic of the body. And it isn't, you can go to school all you want, but that doesn't make you a natural. Okay, that doesn't mean you can just understand and listen and intuitively understand how the body works. Yeah, you can be book read, but that doesn't mean you're a good doctor. I mean, I can believe that only 1 in 10 doctors are a natural, where they just understand how the body works intuitively. The other ones are just prescribing medicine. I was home last time and this woman tried to talk about my blood pressure. And I said, you do realize my blood pressure was like 110 over 60. It was pretty low. And you're wanting to put me on high blood pressure medicine? Are you crazy? I was about ready to slap her because I go, that would be dangerous. She'd bring me down my blood pressure to 90 over thing. My mother was on high blood pressure medicine and she actually had low blood pressure. And I go, Mom, you can't be taking blood pressure. She said, the doctor told me to. I said, Mom, but you're checking your blood pressure. Your blood pressure rises 30 points when you go into the doctor. You have white coat syndrome. But blood pressure. And then you got edema. So they work together. There's a system where the blood goes down and then the edema goes back. So it's just a circle, okay? But the blood does work all the way around. You got oxygenated blood and it goes around. So it basically goes around a circle, but it keeps excreting along the way. So watch these videos and try to understand the lymph gland. But why is this important? Well, if your lymph glands are not, your lymph system is not working, your blood pressure is going to go up because it keeps putting water in there and it keeps pushing on the blood cells. So it's a backup. It's just like a river with the flowing down. It just keeps building up bigger and bigger pressure. But you have to relieve the pressure. Okay, so I'll never forget a guy came down here. He just got divorced from his wife. His wife just walked in and said, you're finished, get the hell out of here. And he came down totally depressed and he wanted to go buy some Viagra. And I said, I didn't know much about Viagra at the time. And I go, what's it do? He says, well, it kind of raises the blood pressure to your penis. And I said, but you just showed me a whole sack full of medicine and a lot of it's blood pressure medicine that lowers your blood pressure. Wouldn't it work? I mean, so you're taking one thing to raise your blood pressure, another one to lower it. I said, this is working against each other. But I finally learned that they called it the blue headache when they get a Viagra headache. It's because too much blood pressure, right? But Viagra, it took me a long time to realize they weren't taking it for a need, they were taking it for enjoyment. But he just had a fear of succeeding. We went and bought him we arranged with him to find a boom boom girl. And he had a girl in his room the first time naked in about 35 years. And that's kind of sad, right? But, life goes on. But he needed to feel accepted by somebody. And that need to get accepted was more valuable than the need to say, I'm morally not going to buy a boom boom girl. But the girl was pretty ugly. And I don't think the Viagra worked. It was pretty bad. Actually, it was kind of a sad day because it didn't work and he basically failed at that, even with Viagra. But, when your self-esteem is beat up because of divorce and marriage, whatever, it's hard to recover. Okay, but blood pressure. It's kind of an interesting world. Okay, my mother had low blood pressure at the end, and I had to give her salt, make her drink a bunch of water, whatever. But what I'm talking about, lymph, it's an unknown system that people never talk about. And this is just as important as your blood pressure. They work together without dealing with your lymph. So when I see somebody with like varicose veins, or I see like cellulite, or I see puffy butts, and I see all this stuff, I try to talk about a little bit about edema and lymph massage and whatever. And the other day I screwed up because I put my legs up in the air and I kind of tapped it, and I brought all the lymph to my groin area where there's a bunch of lymph nodes. Okay, I had a sinus infection for really bad. I took let's see, where was I at? I think I was in Ghana. I took antibiotics for almost 30 days, and I could actually see the lymph nodes in my armpit. They were so swollen. When the doctor puts his hand on your neck, he's checking to see if you have an infection inside your lymph gland. And all I'm trying to do by this whole thing is try to tell you they work together. Somebody tells you blood pressure, instantly ask about lymph glands. Okay, but I'm going to give you three different, maybe four. I'm going to give you a video of Perry Nicholson, and I'm going to give you three from my YouTube channel called Biohacking or Superfoods. I'm going to give you three YouTube channels. Now, trust me, anybody that's on a computer, I mean, when you're not on a computer, you're just on a smartphone, you're instantly not that smart. Okay, I always feel that anybody with an iPhone or a Mac or only uses a smartphone, their brains are less than valuable. And for $200, you can have a computer, and to not spend $200 to see the whole world, it's just not very smart. But smartphones are called smartphones because they want you to buy them and try to. It's like a placebo, right? We aim to please. Placebo means I aim to please. Smartphone means I aim to say you're smart, even though you're not smart. Okay, get a computer. I really am almost to the point where if a person doesn't have a computer, I don't want to talk to them. You might as well take a 20-point IQ drop, right? And basically your ability to, I can open up 8 windows and I think, hey, my glass broke today, so I have to drink out of this glass thing. I forgot and left the little immersion heater in there too long, and it actually broke the glass. But I'd rather drink out of glass than drink out of plastic. Okay, so what am I forgetting here? Everybody's supposed to hit on subscribe. I'm supposed to tell you that because if I don't tell you that, you will forget to do it. But you should always be subscribing to everything. And then after you really understand what they're doing, then you can have contempt. Okay, don't have contempt until you finally get an idea what a person's about. But people get real mad at me because I talk about other things besides travel. And I said, I could give a crap about travel. After 25 years of nonstop world travel in 114 countries, it's quite normal, boring, whatever. Yeah, I will, but I'm not going to rail you on travel all the time. Okay, Perry Nicholson, but be real careful with Viagra. It's a recreational drug, and you definitely don't need to pay $25 a pill. They make this generic stuff for like $3. I took it one time after I had malaria because malaria kills blood cells, and I went to meet Ba, and I was worried. This is a girl of my dreams, and I just killed off a whole bunch of blood cells with malaria because malaria eats. I've had malaria twice, paludisme in French, and it killed off all these blood cells, and I was like, and I go, there's no way I'm going to make this the first time with Ba. So I bought some Viagra. And I go, oh my gosh. She's like going, what's up with this? Because it's a force to be reckoned with. Okay, but it's not for you. It's a gift to your girlfriend. And as you get older, it's a gift. Okay, because the wife can basically always perform, the girl can always perform. The man, he needs high blood pressure. There's this, nitric oxide, something by breathing through your nose. But okay, but nonetheless, if you really like a girl and she really gives you that thunderbolt, the thunderbolt is from The Godfather, and Michael Corleone seen the thunderbolt with this girl that he fell in love with in Italy, and then she got killed in a bomb thing. But the thunderbolt is instant love at first sight, and I truly would like everybody to marry the girl that they fall in love with at first sight. Okay, what am I supposed to tell you right now? Okay, I think I've told you everything I need to do. I know what I did. I didn't subscribe. My goal in life for the rest of my life, I'm over 65, and you guys can help me out. What I dream of doing is living in people's houses, and I would like to go around for about, say 6 to 8 months a year, living in people's guest rooms. Okay, and the value to you is, if you don't know, you don't know. No, but the value to it is an incredible value if you're going to retire abroad, because I can save you $10,000 to $20,000. Instead of going to one location, falling in love with it, and making that choice, I can basically help you to create a short list of the 3 places you ought to try, because very few people can actually go to to different places. There's people so dumb that they get a residency visa to Ecuador before they have ever been there. I mean, talk about dumb. I mean, there's people that buy houses in Costa Rica thinking that this is the place to live. This is dumb. Okay, but every decision you make about you should be able to sit there and just rattle away and let me explain to you about living abroad. So I want to live in New York City, Chicago for a month, and I want to know. Cause it's not worth the money for me to pay to live there. It's not worth the money to pay for a month of living in Norway or Sweden. It's just not worth it. You don't have a higher level of enjoyment just because you paid more, unless you're just totally a placebo-ridden idiot. Okay. And another thing I'd like to do is also live in hotels, but I will actually pay for my way there. I'll work for my way. I'll do some sweat equity. I will make like 2 videos every day showing you how you can better market your hotel. Now, why can I do that? I've seen 1,000 hotels, and I'm kind of a mechanical genius, and I can basically see how things work. And I can make 2 videos a day on your hotel. And I guarantee that I can walk into any hotel room and instantly, or your house, and come up with so many problems that it just drives me crazy. I see everything. Every little imperfection. I actually met a builder one time in Fort Wayne that I said, I walked around this whole house and I only saw one problem. My sister was complaining. She built like 4 houses. She said, Andy, there was a problem with the house. I said, you do understand there's, I don't know, 10,000 pieces when you build a house. How many problems were there? She goes, well, there's about 5. And I go, that's pretty damn good. I said, did they come back and fix them? Oh, yeah, immediately. I said, so 5 little things? Come on. I mean, but, a really good builder should walk through himself or herself and look at everything 2 or 3 times. You can't. Every time you walk into a building, you see something different, right? So you need to have it in the light, the dark, whatever. How to get a punch-out list. They call it a punch-out list. Is when I used to do punch-out lists for my concrete boss when he'd give me 10 things to do, 10 things to fix so he could get his pay. And I would get them all done, and I'd get the superintendent to sign off that they were good. Okay, but I can guarantee that any hotel, I can sit around and just go unlimited about little things to do it. But, people don't care. Okay? And I'm not going to be a mystery shopper where I got a checklist. I basically can compare any hotel to 1,000 other hotels. Nobody can do that. How many people can afford to be a hotel critic? You can't afford to do it. We have food critics, but restaurant critics, because they can afford to do it. You can't afford to be a hotel critic. I wrote about it one time just for kicks. Okay. I want to live for 2 months in places. So anybody that wants to invite me, we have to like each other. I'm going to refuse about 50 to 70% of you guys, because if you don't smile and laugh and have a tone of voice, it makes me happy. If I don't hear a bubbly thing, firecrackers. The biggest problem I have with people is they actually think that they know as much about real estate and travel as me, and it really is insulting. Okay, I go, come on. I've crossed the border over 300 to 400 times, and you're basically comparing us like I'm supposed to listen to you like they won't give me the proper respect, because everybody's an expert in three things: sex, travel, and real estate. And there's three things that nobody's really an expert at: is sex, travel, and real estate. But some of us have more experience, and it's really embarrassing and really tiresome when somebody wants to tell me their endless stories about their travels. It's like looking at your home videos of your children, right? We used to make jokes about that in the 1970s. They invited us over and forced us to watch their children's home videos, right? Now everybody does that. We're forced to watch them on YouTube. We're watching on Twitter. We're watching it on Instagram. I got to watch your thing. And who always wins? The girl that's showing her sexy dance, right? TikTok's all about the sexy dance. Okay. Drink coffee or any kind of drink out of glass. Don't drink it out of plastic. No matter what, that plastic is little microchemicals. These chemicals are entering your body. Anybody living in New York City or Los Angeles or whatever, they're permeated with carbon monoxide fumes breathed in and settling on their body. I'm on Lake Athlon, one of the world's most beautiful lakes. I'm comparing myself right now to Henry David Thoreau, and it's kind of funny because I'm writing a book about Henry David Thoreau. And he's a tree hugger, right? He's really annoyingly talking about trees and stuff. And I go, wait a minute. He's not like me. I refuse to live in a cold climate. I'm going to go migrate to the summer. I mean, I won't go to Russia. I won't go to any of these places. Europe's really painful. You can't go to Europe unless it's like a small window of like 3 months where it's warm. And I'm not going to fight with nature, right? I'm going to win the battle and migrate to a better thing. He actually would sit in his cabin by himself. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? I don't think he liked people, but I think they asked why he left the cabin. I mean, anybody would leave the cabin. Nobody's going to sit there and be by themselves 24 hours a day. It's just insane. But he only worked six weeks a year, and I've only worked about 6 weeks a year too. So I've been doing this for about 25 years. Okay. I'm blathering. Hey, are you guys worried about United States culture right now? I don't know what to say anymore. I no longer can feel respect for any of the politicians or the corporations. I hate to say it, but they've got out of control. The corporate world has brainwashed everybody into little, machines, right? But if you're having trouble understanding lymph, if you're understanding blood pressure, they work together. Watch all my YouTube channels until you can talk intelligently with your doctor. But be very careful. I'm doing this lymph gland massage. It can make you... I had a runny nose all day. I had phlegm in my throat. I was sneezing. I was in horrible shape yesterday because I overdid it. But I think if I did it every single day, and it only takes about, 5 minutes to do, I think I could have some fresh air. But I highly recommend that everybody shake their head about 20 times and don't fall down. You got to be holding on to something if you do that. My mother really got mad. She shook it like 3 times and she was so sick because her brain moved, the blood moved around in her brain. I do it to a count of 20 to 40, okay, every day. But it also makes my hair thing. But I bend over and do it. I want to be handsome with the least amount of headache, right? Okay. Everybody wants to be a somebody. And we're all a nobody. When you finally realize that nobody really cares, that's when you're free. Okay, mucho gusto para hablamos conmigo. Bonsoir, au revoir, a toute l'heure, la vie est belle. Okay, la vida es bueno. Life is good. I'm not going to go live much anymore because people, I only do it to make money, and I really don't enjoy it. Unless they give me money, then I enjoy it. But if they don't give me money, I don't enjoy it. I mean, and I really don't understand it. It'd be much better to have a Zoom meeting and make everybody pay. Generally, is all this is work. And work is something you do when you don't really want to do it. And I haven't worked for 25 years. Have you? Are you a wage slave? I'm not.